Okay, if we move on to the next one, also Central Asia, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's some goodness. If you
Okay,
came up against a guy with that shield, there'd be probably 50 other guys that would beat you to a pulp before you even got near to him.
exactly. The pigeon ball. You shouldn't get close to the guy.
Yeah. So
Yes.
leather, velvet, silver, turquoise, colored stones. Yeah, this is beautiful workmanship. And again, really brilliant design. If you saw this in a miniature painting, you'd think it was totally the imagination of the painter. But there's a real one sitting right there in a
Yeah,
museum.
exactly. We've seen similar miniatures here, right? And this is, as you see that here, acquired 1910, given to the Imperial Hermitage by Marshal of the Court, gift from the Emir of Bukhara. Can
Yeah,
you imagine that? Gift
yeah.
directly from him. So they,
Yeah.
unbelievable. This is a gift,
And
royal
the
gift.
kind of level, again, the level of design in this, it's combining all kinds of things. It's like the big central, well, it's really a giant flower.
Yeah.
The central part is an eight-pointed star, but then the crescents of turquoise make those petals and make it
Yes.
the center of a flower. Then you do the same thing again and you make an even bigger flower. And then you've kind of got those S-shaped things all around the edges. It's really good design. Um,
So
it's
beautiful, Shield. My God.
sometimes, yeah, look, I know people that make jewelry and that, and the amount of work that would go into any one piece of this is enormous. The concept, and of course, the thing is, you can't just make one. You've got to make, in this case, eight, and they've, like eight pieces of pierced and embossed metal. You know, multiples of, well, there's 16, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of uh, of the turquoise crescents. I mean, there's just so much work, and
And
to carry it,
in the middle, do you see the stone?
yeah. Is that a giant carnelian?
It is
Yeah,
indeed.
I could, yeah, because that would have that impact of its protective qualities. Because they used to make seals out of them and all kinds of things. Carnelian was very popular.
Yes.
It's a
And this
hard
is
stone.
silver, right? These are
Yeah,
silver, right? Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
Really nicely done.
And the base is a hide shield. Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, see, we kind of think everything must be made out of steel. But if they made this on a hide base and put all that silver work and all those semi-precious stones and everything, quite clearly hide shields were high status because they're so practical.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, as I said, I weighed a metal shield and a hide shield of the same diameter. And because the hide has to be made thick to be effective, that was the one on the wall there.
Do you
They
remember,
actually,
Beat, when I went to the three major military museums, Nasreddin Shah Qajar collection from Safavid, to my surprise, 85% of Safavid and also kings of Persia shields were hide. Only 10 to 15, no, excuse me, 15 to 20% were made of steel. So
I,
you know,
yeah, I have a feeling that hide was considered more practical.
yeah.
And I mean, we know from the miniatures that the cane, silk wrap cane shields were used in Iran in the Safavid period. None of those have survived
Yeah.
in Iraq. But uh, Luckily, they survived because the Turks used them as well, so we know how they were made. But so that there's when you think if as you say, 80% of shields in Iranian museums are hide. Hide had to be a very popular material, and you see it late Safavid paintings, the paintings of Nadir Shah.
Yeah, we talked about it. All were
Yeah,
hide. All were
so
hide. Yes.
They're just nice. This is a very interesting bow.
Yes, it is.
I've seen bows similar to that from Afghanistan.
Oh.
So I think it is a Central Asian style. So it's like a Persian bow maker tried to make a Manchu bow. It's cross-cultural.
Yeah.
The very long bending limbs mean that it's less likely to fail. The ears are designed to be quite light, so it might be faster than it looks. I The length is not surprising. You do see Orientalist paintings from the 19th century, I think by Russian and French Orientalist paintings showing people in Bukhara and Samarkand with bows that were suspiciously like Manchu bows. But you can imagine if you saw one of these and then saw a Manchu bow, which you could actually use as a model, you'd say, they're pretty much the same if you weren't an archer. But these are a different style entirely. And definitely they were being used in Central Asia probably from the 18th century. I would have a feeling that there may be some influence when the Manchus pushed the Dzungas further west before they tried to wipe them off the face of the earth. There must have been a fair amount of Oirat tribesmen bringing bows that were similar to Manchu bows. And of course, you had a whole industry of bow making that had been going for thousands of years, so that they could adapt to it. Because why the Manchus preferred their big heavy bows was they were using bows as a medium to short range weapon compared to guns. Because bows, up until the invention of revolvers, were a better cavalry weapon than guns were. It's just that in the West, there was no tradition of horse archery, so therefore they never really thought of it. But in the East, they kept using bows on horseback for a lot longer.
Yeah.
I mean, they rarely used them on foot after the 15th century, 16th century. But on horseback, because composite bows can be kept strung for a long time, they were very practical. And their range was more than a pistol, because we kind of compare bows to muskets, which foot archers and musketeers, that's the right comparison. But on horseback, most weapons used on horseback firearms were either pistols or carbines, and even those giant wheel-lock pistols that they used to use in the 16th, 17th century, they fired them with the barrel almost touching their target.
Yes, they did.
And that was a single shot. I mean, you had two pistols, so you get the other one out and shooting with the other one. But compared to a bow where you could shoot 3 arrows in, the time it took to cover 50 meters, to a pistol that once you fired it, you had to return to the back of your, the layout of your troops, so you could load it in peace, because muzzle loading firearms on horseback were a bit of a problem.
Yeah, they were. Absolutely. And the next one, please take a look at this one.
Pishkabs.
Yes. And this is from Khanat of Khiva. It's also from the Winter Palace, right? Yeah,
that's beautiful. So the wood is maybe ebony, is it? Something like that?
I'm not so sure. This is this type where they associate with Central Asian, at least collectors do, right? This type, this really, I don't know which material it is, Pete.
Well, there are a lot of fruit woods and things like that in Central Asia. So
Yeah.
this, because
Yeah,
I've
it's
got,
wood. I have it, Pete. It's wood.
yeah,
I have
because
it in
I've got
description. It's wood.
this one here, which is
Yeah.
kind of similar if we hold it the
Yes.
same
Exactly. It's
orientation.
wood. Pete, I have the description here. It's wood.
Yeah. Yeah, I could read that. I was just, but yeah, that's interesting. I've seen, well, olive wood makes really good dagger handles because it's so dense,
Yeah.
and there is a pattern in it. When it gets really old, it can go that color.
Do they
Uh,
have ebony there? But it doesn't matter. They could have imported it as well. I mean,
yeah, well, this is it. The advantage of dealing with the Russian, well, and also there would be stuff coming up through Afghanistan from
yeah,
British India,
yeah,
and there
exactly.
were lots of dark, like rosewoods and things like that,
Yes,
coming up out of India.
yes.
And that was happening long before the British and the Russians were there.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
it's got like a little design just at the base of the blade.
Let me show it to our viewers, please, Pete. This one.
Yeah.
Mm.
So is that a fine watered steel, like a very fine watered steel?
Yes, it
Like
is. Indeed, it is watered steel, but very Central Asian watered steel, not that
yeah,
dark contrast. Yeah, exactly.
yeah. I don't think they etched it as much,
Yeah,
but yeah, still high quality steel.
yeah.
Um, but look at that design on the scabbard.
Mhm.
So you've got the embossed design raised and chased and everything like that. And then it goes down towards the tip of the scabbard. And then you have another fine wire wrap or a solid piece that's made to look like a wire wrap. It's just a thing they liked. It was
Yeah,
there. It's a way of picking stuff from Central Asia.
yeah.
Uh,
Beautiful. Mm.
yeah, it's I mean, there's elements you would associate with Iran and elements you'd associate with Turkey when you look at how the design is done, but it's uniquely Central Asian.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
influences went back and forth all the time. But it's a
Absolutely.
it's a lovely Pishguard.
Lovely, really lovely. And now my favorite speed.
Oh,
I love this.
this is really
Mesmerizing. When I was there, I think I spent like half an hour only looking at this one.
the
This is
blade is like blades in miniature paintings.
exactly it.
I mean, the Yeoman is dead straight. It has no curve to it, which is very rare. I mean, the paintings often show it to be concave, but that's artistic license almost certainly. Uh, the downturned quillions are something that's popular on pulawars, but the hilt is more like the
Also on Persian shamshirs, we have this style,
well, I
as you know.
think I think that's where the pulawars design came from because there's also jade cross guards
Yes,
like
yes,
that with
yes, yes,
dragons' heads.
yes.
So I mean, really, that's very classic. But the hilt is like the previous ones. So it's like it's got the blade is very old in design, but it might not be old itself, but the design is very old. The crossguard is classic. Um, you see it in
Beautiful.
Persia, you see it later in Afghanistan.
Yes.
But then the hilt is kind of like those Shashka hilts, not like
Mhm.
Caucasian Shashka hilts, but the ones that we saw earlier.
Yes. And they say it comes from the Marble Palace and given a mid 19th century from Khanat of Khiva.
Hmm.
Beautiful, isn't it beautiful, Pete?
There's a couple of things that you usually only see on very early Turkish scabbards.
Yeah.
You see the raised part at the mouth of the scabbard to take the quillions from the crossguard.
Yeah.
At the very top of that, there's a little cutout.
Let me just show it, Pete. This
Yeah.
area.
Now
Exactly.
that you see on swords from the 15th and 16th century in Turkey, and inside, because the quillion block with the quillions and the langets is hollow. And I think there was a little shaped piece that when you put the sword all the way into the scabbard, because the scabbard was made wider, so you didn't have to have a split back, uh, like they did in Iran. Uh, and this would lock the sword in place so it didn't move around. And it's very rare outside of, say, Turkey and Iran. I think there might be a few in Iranian collections. But here, the tradition is still going strong in the 19th century.
Yeah.
But that's a lovely sword. You'd really, yeah.
A bead, by the way, look at the hanging system. This looks
The
like
same
one
as
of
that other
those.
sword. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so it's meant to hang straight down.
yeah. Even
Uh,
this one. Like, let me show it, Pete, to our viewers.
yeah,
Oh, where was that? Oh, here. This one, right?
yeah, yeah. It's the same setup. But have a look how similar the hilt shapes are too.
Let me see. Ah, yeah, you're right. They
Yeah.
are very similar.
See,
Very similar.
there's definitely a
Oops.
style here.
Look
Oh,
at
you got a
this.
close. Yeah, you can see that little cutout more clearly too.
Yeah, here. Let me show it to our
Yeah.
viewers. Here.
Is that are the hilt and crossguard nielloed?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, because that's
They are
really quite.
completely. Look at this beautiful design on it.
Yeah, it's really elegant. Yeah, really nice. I
Beautiful.
mean, when you consider the high level of finish on the handguard and the crossguard, and sorry, that grip and the crossguard, then look at the kind of rough finish on the gilded cover of the scabbard, because there's a wooden scabbard in there,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Uh, it's kind of it's just meant to be flashy, whereas the other
Yes.
one's meant to show to be really sophisticated.
Yes.
It's
This
interesting too.
is gilded silver bead, right?
Yeah, that's what I
On
thought
wood.
it'd. Yeah. Um,
Beautiful.
yeah, it's a wonderful thing. You'd be very impressed if you owned a
Is
sword
this
like that.
crystal? This one?
It could be a piece of rock crystal.
They say here. Where is it? Yeah, it's rock crystal. It is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, it's a real show-off piece. I like also again the same wrist strap on the hilt of the
Yeah. Oh,
sword,
yeah. Here. Yeah.
which I mean, that was a very popular idea in swords for hundreds and hundreds of years. Um, and it's beautifully executed. I like actually the crossguard is more elegant. It's more flower-like than it is dragon-like.
Yeah. It is more
It's
flower-like.
yeah, it's kind of very delicate. Is the sword doesn't have it's just wedge shaped in cross section. It doesn't have a T section on the blade, does
No,
it?
no, it doesn't have a T
No.
section.
So
Right.
that's an older design
Yeah.
style. I
Yeah.
mean, the T section was developed
No.
in the early 18th century or something, I
Yeah.
think.
No T section. No. It's just the older design. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So really solid blade then. Mm. Another thing that one wouldn't kick out, three rivets.
Oh, yes. Three rivets. Yes. One, two, three. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because it looks like the cross guard, then the collar of turquoise, then the grip scales are metal, but they look like they may have been soldered to the tang cover or something like that. Uh, and then rivets as well. So it's a very solid mount, but it almost certainly had some kind of vegetable gum or something inside to bulk it out to give it firmness.
And the handle, I think, is silver, right? Silver cover.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Silver is the best thing to put Niello on, and
Yeah.
that's really high grade Niello, I think. Oh, this is a fine piece.
Yeah. The mail armor, also Central Asia from the Winter Palace, 18th
Mm.
century.
Yeah,
And also a helmet, also Central Asia from Winter Palace. Look at the helmet. It's beautiful, isn't it, mate?
yeah. I mean, you rarely see jeweled helmets like this in this period, but
Yeah.
look at the form is so classic.
Yeah.
Uh, it's a really good design. The straps are probably decorative, unless I mean it could be made in four segments, but more likely it's a solid dome with the straps put on as a decorative feature. Um, but and they're balanced to the cross across there. It doesn't look as though it ever had a nasal, um, which is quite reasonable. Not all helmets did, and the further east you get, the less likely you are to run into nasals. The mail looks quite solid too.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's a very nice piece.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
very nice.
It's the rivets have been completely crushed down. There's no
Yeah,
no trace of the kind of like a knob sticking up. It's been
yeah,
maybe
here,
they had
here,
slightly
for
kind of
example.
yeah.
Some of them you see, some of them who are not, which are not riveted, these are repairs, right?
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah. Well,
my colleague told me there are repairs later on, but
yeah. Well,
originally, as you see, they're riveted. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. Well, so I think it's a common practice in museums when they do repairs, they do them in a way that if you investigate it, you can see the repaired part.
Yeah,
They don't
that's
want
what
to
they
pretend.
want you to see. Exactly.
Yeah.
They want
Because
you to see. Yeah.
they're professionals. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they
No, they
have a
told me that they bought it, they added, but they didn't rivet that because they want you to see their repairs. Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
And you can see on some of those rings, I'm just checking. See, some of them are worn quite thin.
Yeah.
So this arm has been worn a lot in its day.
Mhm.
Some of them are some of the rivet ones are quite big.
Yeah.
I'm trying to check. I can't really tell. Are some of the rings solid rings without riveting? I mean, I'm not talking about the
Yes,
repaired
they
body.
are. They have
Yeah,
also solid rings in them. Yes.
yeah, that makes good sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a nice piece of mail.
it is. Very nice. Very nice.
Mm.
Um, okay, we had that. You can see it here, the same thing, another view.
Yeah. But you can see how. Oh, haha.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was getting.
Okay, another fish glass. This is also
Yeah,
Central Asian, first half of the 19th century, our colleagues say, from the Winter
mm.
Palace. Look at this one.
Yeah. When they say bone, there, I'm pretty certain that that is a horn grip scale
Yeah, it is horn.
from colour,
It is horn.
and it may even be imported rhinoceros horn because it's got that kind of yellowish translucency to it.
Yes, it's yellowish
Um,
translucent. Yeah.
yeah, I love. One of my friends has got a really big pish carbs with what look like ivory grip scales, but maybe bone. We've never looked at it carefully, but it has that really long steel shape with the ball on the end, and they're
Mhm.
really pretty. I mean,
They are.
I, I, I suppose the ball stops it sticking into someone if you're standing next to them, but it's really elegant, and you kind of look at it and think, oh yeah, because fish carp scabbards often have that shape that they cut the end of the handle so that it
Yeah,
just everything sits together really nice.
yeah, very nice. Very nice. Definitely.
Yeah, and it's got that beautiful carving
Yeah.
on the ricasso.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so elegant. I love the
Mm.
way you see this. I mean, I see it mainly on Iranian stuff, but you do see it sometimes on Turkish stuff, and you occasionally see it on Mughal stuff, where just to on a single edged blade, just to enhance it.
Yes.
Well, that's interesting. That
Okay.
quiver,
Mhm.
I mean, the belt is classic Central Asian.
Yes.
The quiver, if I'm not wrong, that's technically the back of the quiver.
Okay. They say
Because,
it is from Khanat of Kokand, Central Asia, 1830s to 60s. It
yeah,
was acquired in 1883. So we
mm,
both know what acquire means, right?
yeah, somebody had suddenly died and it was laying next to them on the ground. Uh, the thing that's interesting about it is the spaces in the mouth of the quiver,
Yeah.
you see two places, maybe three.
Let
The
me
most
enlarge
westerly,
it.
so yeah, that's perfect.
Okay,
The
explain it,
most
please. Sorry, bit. Mhm.
Yeah, the most westerly place you see that is in the Crimean Tatars used
Yeah.
made quivers that had that spacing in them.
Mhm.
It's in Tibet. You see it in Tibet. They do it
Mhm.
with rawhide instead of velvet covered leather.
Mhm.
And you see it in some Mongolian quivers of the 17th, 18th century. I think there's 19th century ones that have done it that way as well. So this is just to space a few arrows out. Um, It also strengthens the mouth of the quiver. Those rings, see, if there is one other quiver that was sold recently, Turkish, very old, that has rings like that. So the rings are on the outside face of the quiver. Assume that this is all, we're seeing exactly the quiver as it's meant. So it's a left-handed person's quiver worn on the left-hand side. So the straps come out of the rings, but the rings are on the face of the quiver.
Yeah.
So the quiver would tend to flip over, but there will be rings or something on the back of the quiver that takes additional straps to stop it doing that. As I say, I've only seen an Ottoman quiver done like this, and it is the only Ottoman quiver I've ever seen done like that. And until they recently sold it, I forget whether it's Christie's, I think, this year, the collection it came from, it was a huge collection of Islamic arms and armor. When they published the book of the collection, it was like a catalogue of the collection. They showed it from one side only, and I spent 30 years trying to work out how this quiver worked because the rings are in the wrong place. And then I don't know if I've got it up there. No, I don't think I do. I think I've got it in another room. But when they published this, Christie's, and I think it was Christie's, it may have been Sotheby's, but it was one of the two big English auction houses. They had a photograph of the back of it, and you could see these quite solid iron rings on the back to take extra straps. And I finally, oh, that's how it works. But it like this one, it's got a wooden frame on three sides.
Yes.
And then the velvet and that is on top of that. And then the metal pieces are nailed to it with tiny escutcheon pins and things like that. And the top part they'd be little rivets. But a very decorative quiver. But this is a real quiver too. Those spaces make it easy to keep your arrows divided out. The feathers don't rub against each other. It's easy to draw arrows quickly.
Yes.
So the what used to be a pocket on the front of the quiver is now just a decorative triangle. Because they don't use it anymore. Possibly yes. Arrows got too big. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's got that historic connection. Yeah, you can see that wooden frame in there.
Yeah,
covered in velvet.
Here, let me show it to her here.
Yeah, yeah. That's if you've only got thin leather and you want to make a good quality quiver, a three-sided wooden frame like that with the leather glued and nailed on, or stitched to a strip that goes around the wooden frame, that makes a really strong quiver.
Mm.
And it's technically quite cheap to make because you could do that with, just dyed goat skin. In this case, they've covered it with velvet, but you could also cover it with other fabrics. I mean, if you were like a tribesman or something like that, you could cover it with something that was woven specifically for that purpose. Mm-hmm. And it still would look very highly decorative. But the elaborate belt is a thing that's really popular in Central Asia. They did like their nice belts.
Yes, they did.
And lots of metal fittings.
Lots of. Let's just go ahead here and take a look at the next one. Okay, now we move on to another beautiful one's bead. You will love that as well. Yeah. Okay.
That sword is very Persianate.
Yes, it is. Actually, we are going to discuss that. Look at this first. Oh, God, this is beautiful, isn't it, Bede?
Oh, it's wonderful. Again, see this really Bukharan-y kind of thing with the embossed scabbard cover, then the binding, and then the ball on the end. I mean, and the band of turquoise at the top. This is really classically 18th and 19th century Central Asian. They love this design, and it works really well. Yeah.
Also, walrus ivory handle.
Yeah. Is that a classic Peshkab's handle, or is it almost bird-shaped at the top? It could be
bird
just the
shape. Yeah, it's like bird shape. Yeah.
Yeah. See, this different groups of Peshkab styled handles. Some have really bulky handles because they're just meant for a big, powerful thrust.
Yeah.
And others have more slender handles, so you've got more ability to move them around and do things with them.
Here we can see it better.
It does look like walrus ivory, but it's very white. I mean, it could be elephant ivory, I suppose. I mean, though, to be honest, I've got an elephant ivory one and it's very yellow. That's one of the reasons walrus ivory was so popular, because it didn't change color over time as much. Is that again another watered steel blade?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and the back of the blade is carved with floral designs as well.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
Yeah, this is high grade stuff.
And then I think it's fire gilded, right?
Yeah. Well, somebody else has gone mad, or well, the famous mad as a hatter supposedly came from the fact that hatters used mercury in the production of the felt,
Yeah.
white felt, I think. And obviously, the guys doing fire gilding were in the same boat. But the thing that's interesting, see, there's the background on that fire gilded silver is finely granulated. It's by using a tiny little punch and
Yeah.
doing thousands of little patterns. The leaves and the flowers stand up quite high in relief from that. So it's a very good positive design, showing both bold shapes and very delicate backgrounding, which is nice. Oh,
Okay.
oh, it's a flamberge style blade,
Yes.
all wiggly wobbly.
Yes. So this is, excuse me. Let's start with that. This is from Khanate of Khiva, right? Second half of 19th century. It was acquired in 1870. I love it when they say it was acquired, right? And
Yeah.
then, but this is beautiful, isn't it?
Oh yeah, this is high grade. Somebody very rich wore this,
Yeah.
high up in the government, almost certainly. And the riveting on the handle is both practical and decorative,
Yeah.
because it's two that way, two that
Yeah.
way,
Yes.
three that way, or four that way.
Yes.
Maybe four, maybe five. Again, we've got the big wrist strap.
Yes.
So, I mean, this is quite common with these swords. Um, you see some kyber knives that are set up to do that too.
Mm.
They have a little locket, like a
Yeah.
little oval based thing on the top to
Yeah.
take a strap.
Yeah.
That sword belt above and the sword
Mhm.
mounting,
Mhm.
which this is a thing that I'm quite interested in. That, like, it's a single mount on the belt going down to two mounts on the scabbard.
Yeah.
That you see in Qajar belts as well,
Yeah. You
like
do.
even back in the time of Fath Ali Shah.
Yeah.
Um, and the actual finish on the scabbard looks really high grade.
Really. We're going to
And
have more pictures of them.
yeah, oh, good. Yeah.
This is made of patterned crucible steel, Persian color. And we have
Yeah.
similar examples. I handled them in the Military Museum of Tehran to Safavid kings. Completely sharp, completely functional blades. That sharp, the ones I handled, that I could just polish, take off my nail. That sharp was
Oh,
one of them. Yeah, that sharp still. So just to, and then solid blades made of beautiful patterned crucible steel, which is in my book Arms and Armor from Iran. And this one, but they have really classical handles in Tehran, right? But this
yeah.
one has a very interesting handle, right? Look at this
Yeah,
one.
it's kind of like an abstract version of a classic handle. Uh, or maybe there was a classic handle under it at one stage.
Yes, it
Do you
could be.
notice that the top langet on the handle is covered by the metal of the handle itself, which is
Yeah,
pretty much they're often wrapped over with a silk binding or something. So that in itself, even though it's a strange shaped metal handle, I mean, it's not the shape mirrors a Shamshir handle, but some of the details suggest that they were quite well aware
yeah,
of the traditional setup.
Yes.
Again,
Okay, they say themselves, our colleagues, the blade is from Iran. Do you see that? So imported blade from Iran. Our
yeah,
colleagues
well,
say this.
that wouldn't be unusual because there was a
Yes.
lot of blade exports. It's a weird thing. Both India and Iran exported blades at the same time they imported blades from different places as well. So their local production was very valued in other countries. Uh, but maybe people back home couldn't afford the prices that they were paying for it in India or maybe
Yes.
in Bukhara.
Yes.
Um,
I mean, we have this in this Qajar early Qajar period manual. It's in my lexicon that they say Shamshir Qare Khorasani, Qare Taban, they're so beautiful and so good, but alas, we cannot afford them. They say that. So they chose the Indian one, right? That's they say it. They say it.
it's
They say
not
it.
uncommon today.
Yeah, yeah. They
Well,
say it.
Europeans started mass producing swords in the 17th and 18th century and started selling sword blades to India and Iran and even Turkey because they could produce them cheaper.
Yeah,
They're not as beautiful,
yeah,
but they worked.
yeah.
And, they were just mounted up with local hilts and that. I mean, when you see the kind of really fine work, I'm looking just at the top buckle on that belt, which is classic. You see that on Iranian sword belts, on Turkish sword belts, that way of building up a series of shapes out of flowers and leaves and stems, and the little loop on the top. Now, this may have been one of those S-hook type buckles. When we see the other end of the belt, we'll
Yeah.
know.
I will
Uh,
show. Oh, let me see if we have
oh,
the belt. Yeah, this one.
yeah. I'd say that's an S-hook buckle with the S missing. The little S-shaped loop.
Yeah, here, yeah,
Of
exactly.
course, they can fall out. I mean, it's not unusual.
Yes,
But yeah, the quality of the work. See, the scabbard, I mean, the blade of the sword, as you said, they're quite complex to make. It's difficult to get that perfect scallop shape. But the scabbard is so much better than the hilt. um, it's kind of like chalk and cheese.
yes. They
Um,
say that the hilt and the scabbard, okay, of course, Central Asian, and the blade and the handle imported. Yes,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean the handle. Sorry, the crossguard. Yes,
yeah. Well, the crossguard's clearly
yes,
Iranian style, uh, and
beautiful.
yeah, quite an old style too, really.
Yes, look at
But
this one, the scabbard of this one. Oh God, I
yeah,
love it.
this is the equivalent level of workmanship on scabbards you only see in Ottoman Turkey. I mean, I'm not talking about the jewel mounts. I'm talking about the embossing,
Mm.
and this is of that high imperial level. Yet it's made in a small kingdom in the middle of Central Asia.
Look how many
So
rivets it has. This one.
yeah, well, this is it, and they're decorative in their layout as well as practical. I reckon that would be a really solid handle,
Yeah,
and it's wrist strap, all that decoration, silk thread bindings, and
yeah,
this is top
yeah.
top
Top
level
one,
stuff.
top level. And here we go to this one, the scabbard a bit more from the scabbard,
Oh yeah,
right?
that's beautiful workmanship.
Beautiful workmanship, beautiful, right? Really, really beautiful, right?
Yeah, that's so good.
And you can see another glimpse of it.
Yeah,
So
that
beat.
yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Well, I was going to say I've seen some like Bukhara and Samarkandian stuff in catalogs. I've seen one or two pieces up close. I haven't seen very many up close. Um, but I think that the quality of the workmanship on these pieces in the museum are much higher than the ones that randomly turned up at auctions and things
Yeah,
like
of
that.
course.
Yeah,
So
this is
really
real.
high quality, really high quality.
And I mean, we're lucky that museums like this exist.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, a lot of this stuff, well, when it was acquired, people broke it up for the jewels and the.
You
I
know,
mean,
that's the reason. That's the reason I always say, as much as, of course, I work for private collectors as well as, and as much as private collections are important, but sometimes people don't understand the role of museums. Museums cannot keep their stuff, all these things. They don't even know how important museums are.
Yeah.
They're really important, right?
I mean,
Really
this is
important.
where people's culture is protected
Yeah.
because aside from people disrespecting culture sometimes, the other thing that can go wrong is people can change their minds about what's good and what's bad
Yes.
and say, oh, well, we'll just melt that all down and make something nice out of it. I saw a Turkish sword once that had so much gold in its fittings that the sword itself was a way of transporting it across borders because the gold was worth more than the sword could ever have been worth, just melted down. And it wasn't designed for that. It was just that the person that had that sword decorated was really rich but didn't know anything about swords. So it was a very ordinary sword with an enormous amount of gold on the hilt and the scabbard and everything like that. And I'm trying to remember. I think I saw one of the recurved Peshkabzes, which again had such heavy gold mounts on the tang cover and on the scabbard that there was maybe 4 ounces of gold in it, which is a lot of
Right.
money because it wasn't gilded; it was solid gold. And I know that the person that owned it sold it for a very large amount of money when they were, wanted to buy something else. Uh, but you kind of look at this and you think, this is a person transporting wealth around on their body. If something went horribly wrong, they could have their knife or their sword melted down and pay for their escape from the Sultan or the Shah or whomever they had offended. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's a classic. I remember when I was at school, one of the books they made us read was The Blue Nile, which was about the Napoleonic conquest of Egypt. And when the Napoleon defeated the Mamluks at the Battle of the Pyramids, the French soldiers couldn't believe how much gold and jewelry each single Mamluk was wearing. Each was a kind of, king's ransom. Every horseman, of course, they looted everything that they could. But the sheer quantity of gold and silver and jewels and I mean the French when they beat the Mamluks, first thing they did was took all the Mamluk swords and had them remounted so they could wear them because they just liked the look of them.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
they
they
weren't
did.
they
They
weren't
did.
suitable for the type of fencing they did, but they thought they looked really good.
When
And
you
this
go
is
to Musée d'Armée, there are many of them. We are going to talk about it because I want to go to Paris, take new pictures of them. And then
yeah.
they always say acquired, 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 acquired. And I say, what does it even acquire mean? It's so funny.
Fell off the back of a truck. Yeah. There I was surrounded by Mamluks, and all of a sudden I had all this gold and silver jewelry.
Exactly. I didn't know where they come from. Exactly.
Oh well. But
Yeah.
you've got to say, I mean, when arms and armor get as highly decorated as this, they're really jewelry for men.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's you're
Absolutely.
showing how good your taste is, how much money you have to spend, how powerful you are. In the case of the shield, you're showing nobody's going to get close to me.
Yes. Try it. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Try
Beautiful
it.
stuff.
I
And
hope you
in
like them,
recovery, you
Bede.
can,
They're really magnificent, aren't they?
oh, they've been looked after so well.
Yeah, very nice. After so many years. Yes.
Good museums
Yes.
save our history.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Pete, for your for being here with us,
Very
and
nice.
hope to see you soon. Thank you very much.
Okay.